They laughed at them until they saw what the dog did every night. The neighbors thought Sarah and Tom had lost their minds. A giant, scruffy dog with 3 legs and a crooked tail? That thing belongs in a shelter, not a home, Mrs. Peterson whispered to her husband as they watched the couple struggle to get the massive animal through their front door. The dog limped awkwardly, his fur matted and dull, his eyes barely open from exhaustion. But what those neighbors didn't know, what nobody could have possibly imagined, was that this unwanted creature was about to do something so extraordinary that it would change their entire street forever. The dog nobody wanted. Max wasn't always a 3-legged dog living on borrowed time. Once, he'd been a strong and healthy puppy, running through fields and chasing butterflies with a kind of joy that only dogs seem to possess. But life had dealt him a cruel hand. An accident on a busy highway had left him badly injured, and the veterinarians had no choice but to amputate his front left leg to save his life. After the surgery, Max spent months in an animal shelter. Day after day, families would walk past his kennel, their eyes sliding over him as they moved toward the younger, prettier, more perfect dogs. Children would point and whisper. Adults would shake their heads sadly and keep walking. Some would ask the shelter workers about him, only to turn away when they heard about his medical history and special needs. "He's been here for 8 months, the shelter director told Sarah and Tom when they first inquired about Max. "Honestly, I don't think anyone's going to take him. We've been considering other options." The unspoken meaning hung heavy in the air. Sarah knelt down in front of Max's kennel, and for the first time in months, the big dog lifted his head. Their eyes met, and something passed between them. A connection, a recognition, a silent understanding. Tom watched his wife's face transform, and he knew without her saying a word that they were taking this dog home. The mockery begins. The adoption papers were barely signed before the criticism started. "You're making a mistake," Sarah's sister insisted over the phone. "That dog is going to be nothing but expensive vet bills and heartache. He can barely walk." Tom's co-workers were no kinder. 3 legs, one of them laughed during lunch break. "What's it going to do? Hop around your living room all day. I give it 2 weeks before you take him back." But the cruelest comments came from their own neighborhood. Mrs. Peterson made it her personal mission to express her disapproval at every opportunity. "That animal is an eyesore," she announced loudly at the community mailbox. "It's bringing down property values just by existing." Mr. Chun from next door was more subtle, but equally dismissive. "I'm sure you mean well," he said with a condescending smile, "but dogs like that, they're damaged. They can't really function properly. You're just prolonging the inevitable." Even the local veterinarian seemed skeptical. "He's going to need a lot of care," Dr. Williams warned during Max's first checkup. "Dogs with 3 legs can develop joint problems, balance issues, chronic pain. Are you sure you're prepared for that level of commitment?" Sarah and Tom smiled politely through all of it, but inside their hearts ached. Not for themselves. They were used to people doubting their choices. But for Max, he deserved so much better than the world's low expectations. What nobody saw coming. The first few weeks were challenging. Max was understandably anxious in his new home, and his mobility issues made simple tasks complicated. Stairs were his nemesis. The hardwood floors were slippery under his remaining paws. He bumped into furniture and knocked over a lamp more than once. The neighbors watched and whispered. "See," Mrs. Peterson said to anyone who would listen, "I told you that dog was a disaster waiting to happen." But Sarah and Tom remained patient. They installed carpet runners for better traction. They practiced exercises to build Max's strength and balance. They learned his triggers and his comforts. Slowly, day by day, Max began to trust them. His tail wagged more often. His eyes brightened. He started to play. And then, about 3 weeks after bringing him home, something remarkable happened. Are you ready to discover what Max did that silenced every critic and skeptic? Keep reading, because what happens next will restore your faith in an incredible bond between humans and animals. It started on a rainy Tuesday night. Sarah was in the kitchen making dinner when she heard Tom call out from upstairs. "Honey, you need to see this." She climbed the stairs to find Tom standing in the hallway, pointing toward their 7-year-old daughter Emma's bedroom. Emma had been struggling lately. Nightmares had been plaguing her for months, the result of a frightening incident at school that had left her anxious and afraid of the dark. Through the partially open door, Sarah could see Max lie on the floor beside Emma's bed. But he wasn't just lying there. He was positioned strategically between the door and the bed, his body creating a protective barrier. His eyes were alert, scanning the room, watching over the sleeping child. "He's been there for an hour," Tom whispered. "I checked on Emma earlier, and he was already in position. I tried to call him downstairs, but he wouldn't budge." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. He's guarding her. The nightly ritual. From that night forward, Max established a routine that would astound everyone who witnessed it. Every evening, as soon as Emma started her bedtime routine, Max would follow her upstairs. He would wait patiently while she brushed her teeth, never taking his eyes off her. When she climbed into bed, he would position himself on the floor beside her, always in the same spot, between the door and her bed. But it was more than just lying there. Max was actively working. Sarah and Tom noticed that whenever Emma stirred in her sleep, showing signs of a nightmare, Max would respond immediately. He would stand up, carefully balance on his 3 legs, and gently place his chin on the edge of her bed. Sometimes he would softly whine, not loud enough to wake her completely, but enough to break through the nightmare. Other times, he would carefully rest his paw on the bed beside her, offering his presence as comfort. The nightmares that had tormented Emma for months began to decrease. Within 2 weeks, she was sleeping through the night more often than not. When she did wake up afraid, she would reach down, find Max's soft fur, and immediately calm down. "He's better than any nightlight," Emma told her parents one morning. "Max makes me feel safe." But Max's nocturnal duties didn't end there. The night that changed everything. It was a Thursday night, roughly 6 weeks after Max had joined their family. Tom was away on a business trip, and Sarah had fallen asleep on the couch while watching television. Emma was upstairs in her room, and Max was, as always, on duty beside her bed. Around 2 a.m., Max detected something wrong. His sensitive nose picked up an unusual smell, something acrid and alarming. His ears perked up at the faint sound of crackling. While Sarah slept downstairs and Emma dreamed peacefully in her room, a small electrical fire had started in the wall of the garage, slowly spreading into the main house. Max made a decision. He abandoned his post beside Emma's bed, something he had never done, and hobbled as quickly as his 3 legs could carry him down the stairs. He went straight to Sarah on the couch and began barking urgently, pawing at her with his good front leg. Sarah woke up confused and groggy. "Max, what?" And then she smelled it. Smoke. Her heart seized with terror as she jumped to her feet. "Emma!" But Max was already moving. He turned and bounded back up the stairs as fast as he could manage, leading Sarah directly to Emma's room. Sarah grabbed her daughter, who was just waking up, coughing from the smoke that had begun to seep through the vents. Sarah carried Emma outside, while Max stayed close to their heels, then ran back toward the house. "Max, come!" she screamed. But the 3-legged dog had one more mission. He disappeared into the smoke-filled house, and Sarah's heart nearly stopped. Seconds felt like hours. Then Max emerged, dragging Emma's favorite stuffed rabbit in his mouth, the toy she had since she was a baby and couldn't sleep without. Do you believe in the power of rescue animals now? Share this story if Max's heroism has touched your heart, because animals like him are waiting in shelters right now, hoping someone will see their worth. The fire department arrived within minutes of Sarah's 911 call. They contained the fire before it could destroy the house, though the damage was significant. The fire chief confirmed what Sarah already knew in her heart. If Max hadn't alerted her when he did, the outcome would have been tragic. That dog saved your lives, the fire chief said, reaching down to pet Max, who sat calmly beside Emma, the stuffed rabbit still in his mouth. No question about it. The transformation. Word spread to the neighborhood like wildfire, no pun intended. Mrs. Peterson, who had been so critical, was the first to arrive the next morning with homemade food and tears in her eyes. "I was so wrong about him," she said, looking at Max with genuine remorse. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Mr. Chin brought over a custom-made orthopedic dog bed. "For Max," he explained quietly. He deserves the best. The co-workers who had mocked Tom now asked respectfully about Max's recovery and well-being. Sarah's sister called to apologize through tears. Even Dr. Williams, the skeptical veterinarian, stopped by with a year's worth of free checkups for Max. "I've been in this business for 30 years, the vet admitted, "and I've never seen anything quite like this. Max isn't disabled. He's differently abled. And his heart is bigger than most people's." The local news picked up the story. "Three-legged hero dog saves family from fire," read the headline. Max became a local celebrity, but he didn't seem to notice or care. His focus remained singular: protecting Emma. The ripple effect. The ripple effect. Max's story didn't just change the minds of Sarah and Tom's neighbors. It sparked something much bigger. The animal shelter where Max had spent 8 lonely months reported a surge in adoptions. "Everyone wants to adopt a Max," the director told Sarah during a phone call. "All those dogs that people used to walk past, the older ones, the ones with disabilities, the ones who aren't traditionally adoptable, they're going home." Max started a movement. The shelter started a program called Perfect Imperfections, specifically designed to showcase special needs animals and educate potential adopters about how incredibly rewarding these adoptions can be. Within 3 months, the shelter's euthanasia rate dropped by 60%. Local schools invited Sarah, Emma, and Max to visit classrooms. Emma, who had struggled with anxiety and fear, found her voice as she told other children about her best friend. "Max teaches me that being different doesn't mean you're broken," she would say, and then Max would demonstrate how he could play fetch, do tricks, and love fiercely despite having only 3 legs. One particular visit stood out. A young boy with a prosthetic leg sat in the front row, his eyes wide as he watched Max hop around the classroom. After the presentation, he approached Sarah shyly. "My dog is a superhero," he whispered, pointing to Max just like me. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Yes," she agreed, "just like you. The science behind the bond." What Max did wasn't just remarkable. It was backed by science that researchers are only beginning to fully understand. Studies have shown that dogs possess an extraordinary ability to sense human emotions and respond to them. Their olfactory system can detect changes in human hormones that occur during stress, fear, or anxiety. When Emma was having nightmares, Max was likely detecting the cortisol and adrenaline her body was producing, and he responded by offering comfort. As for detecting the fire, dogs have up to 300 million olfactory receptors in their noses, compared to about 6 million in humans. They can smell smoke and detect changes in temperature long before we can. Max's keen senses, combined with his deep bond with his family, created a perfect storm of heroism. But perhaps most remarkably, research suggests that rescue animals, particularly those who have experienced trauma themselves, may develop heightened empathy and protective instincts. It's as if they understand suffering on a profound level and are motivated to prevent it in others. Dr. Sarah Wilson, a veterinary behaviorist who studied Max's case, explained it this way: "Max experienced abandonment and trauma. He knows what it feels like to be vulnerable. When he joined a family that showed him unconditional love despite his perceived flaws, he reciprocated with a level of devotion and protection that went beyond normal dog behavior. He became a guardian, a healer, a hero." Are you inspired by Max's story? Consider adopting a special needs pet from your local shelter. The dog or cat that others overlook might be the one who changes your life. Visit your local animal rescue today. 1 year later, it's been a year since that terrifying night when Max saved his family from a fire. The house has been repaired and remodeled. Emma is thriving. Her nightmares are completely gone, and she's become an advocate for animal rescue, speaking at events alongside her parents and, of course, Max. The 3-legged dog who nobody wanted has become an ambassador for rescue animals everywhere. His story has been featured in national publications and on television programs. But despite the fame and attention, Max remains focused on what matters most to him: his family. Every night, without fail, Max climbs the stairs with Emma. They're much easier from now after year practice. He waits while she brushes her teeth. He positions himself beside her bed, and he watches over her until morning, a loyal guardian who never takes his responsibility lightly. Sarah and Tom often talk about how close they came to listening to the critics, to giving in to the doubt, to choosing an easier dog. The thought makes them shudder. People see disabilities as weaknesses, Tom reflects. But with Max, his challenges became his strengths. He's more attentive, more aware, more present than any four-legged dog I've ever met. His limitations forced him to be extraordinary. Sarah adds, he didn't need four legs to be a hero. He just needed love, trust, and a chance to show what he was capable of. The lessons Max taught. Max's story offers profound lessons that extend far beyond animal rescue. Never judge by appearances. The scruffy, three-legged dog who seemed like a burden turned out to be a lifesaver. How many times do we dismiss people or animals based on superficial characteristics, missing out on incredible connections? Trauma doesn't define destiny. Despite his difficult past and physical challenges, Max didn't become bitter or broken. He became braver. Our past wounds don't have to dictate our future purpose. Love transforms. Max's transformation from a sheltered dog afraid of rejection to a confident family guardian happened because Sarah and Tom offered unconditional love. When we create safe spaces for healing, remarkable growth happens. Different isn't less. Max's three legs didn't make him inferior. They made him unique. His story reminds us that diversity in all its forms should be celebrated, not shunned. Purpose heals. When Max found his purpose, protecting Emma, he found his joy. Having something meaningful to care for and protect gave him a reason to thrive. The neighbors who once mocked Sarah and Tom's decision now point to the family with pride. That's Max the Hero Dog's house. They tell visitors. Mrs. Peterson keeps a photo of Max on her refrigerator. Mr. Chin built a ramp to make it easier for Max to navigate the curb when they go on walks together. Yes, they now walk together regularly. The entire community learned something valuable, that the beings we dismiss as broken or unworthy often have the most to teach us about resilience, love, and what it truly means to be whole. The legacy continues. Max is now 9 years old, not young for a large dog, especially one with his medical history, but he shows no signs of slowing down. He still climbs those stairs every night. He still guards Emma's door, and he's still saving lives, just in a different way. The Perfect Imperfections program has expanded to multiple states, helping thousands of special needs animals find homes. Emma, now 8, has started a youth group called Max's Pack that educates other children about animal welfare and responsible pet ownership. Tom and Sarah have fostered 3 other special needs dogs, helping them rehabilitate before finding their forever homes. But perhaps Max's greatest legacy is the shift in perspective he created. In a world that often values perfection and dismisses anything that falls short, Max proved that heroism comes in unexpected packages. That love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about seeing perfection in someone others overlook. This is your moment to make a difference. If Max's story has moved you, don't let that feeling fade. Visit your local animal shelter this week. Ask about the dogs and cats who have been waiting the longest. Consider fostering or adopting a special needs pet. You might just save a life, or that pet might save yours. Share this story with everyone you know, because somewhere out there, there's a Max waiting for someone to see past the flaws to the hero within. The final truth. The truth that Max revealed, the truth that silenced every critic and skeptic, wasn't just that a 3-legged dog could function. It was that he could excel, he could love, he could protect, he could inspire. Every night when Max takes his position beside Emma's bed, he's not just a pet doing a job. He's a soul who found his purpose, a warrior who turned his wounds into wisdom, a guardian angel who happened to have 3 legs and a wagging tail. The people who laugh don't laugh anymore. They marvel, they respect, and some of them have even visited shelters themselves, looking for their own Max, that overlooked animal who might just become their family's greatest blessing. Sarah summed it up best in a recent interview. We didn't rescue Max. He rescued us. He rescued our daughter from fear. He rescued our family from a fire. And he rescued our hearts from the illusion that love has to look a certain way or come in a perfect package. As for Max, he doesn't think about any of this. He doesn't know he's famous or that his story has changed minds and saved lives across the country. All he knows is that every evening, when the sun goes down, a little girl needs him. and he will be there on 3 legs or none until his last breath. That's what heroes do. They show up. They protect. They love without condition or reservation. They prove that the world's rejects are often heaven's perfect picks. And they teach us that sometimes the being everyone laughs at is exactly the one we need most. So the next time you see someone, human or animal, that society has dismissed or overlooked, remember that the greatest love stories often begin with someone taking a chance on the underdog. And remember that heroes don't always have 4 legs, perfect pedigrees, or Hollywood endings. Sometimes they have 3 legs, crooked tails, and hearts big enough to save the world. The end of Max's story isn't really an ending at all. It's an invitation to look deeper, love bigger, and believe in the extraordinary potential hidden in the most ordinary seeming places. Will you accept the invitation? Max continues to guard Emma's room every single night. And somewhere in a shelter near you, another Max is waiting for someone to see what everyone else has missed. Don't wait. Visit your local animal rescue today and find the hero hiding in plain sight, because a dog who nobody else wants might be exactly the one you need.